Hello, this is Pauline Jennings. Welcome to Musician Talk. I am thrilled to have the Border Hookups, Jacqueline and Dave Hudson, on Musician Talk again. This time to discuss the inner workings of making their self-titled CD, from the seeds of the song to gathering musicians, crafting the songs, recording, editing, mixing, and printing. You all get a chance to be some of the first people to hear 3 of their songs as recorded on the CD. By the way, to listen to their first interview about their musical journey as a group, go to the Musician Talk archive at entertainmentguidemn.com. I must say, I am honored to get this chance to debut and share with you some of their terrific original tunes. It's time to hear more from the Border Hookups. Let's talk with Dave and Jacqueline. Welcome, Border Hookups, Dave and Jacqueline, to Musician Talk again. Great to have you.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited for you guys because you just finished your first CD as a group, and we're here to talk about that, kind of the inner workings of making a CD and what goes into that and recording a song. And so what I want to start off with right away is just to have you walk me through the process of, how did you decide to make a CD? First of all, I mean, it costs money, and which songs and how you decide the songs, and how you get the music to the musicians that you're going to have on it. Kind of just the overview of the process of making this CD.
Sure, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
I had mentioned to Jacqueline that the fact that we are claiming on our YouTube channel, the Border Hookups Go RVing, that we are musicians, but we don't have anything out there. Which is kind of a dilemma if you're claiming to be a musician.
If people are asking for your music.
Correct. And people asking for the music. I forgot about that part. So I had looked at some different options for recording, and ended up reaching out to Steve Jennings. I don't know if you know him or not. And then I liked the idea of recording in Northfield and using all Northfield people, in more specifically Mike Legvold, Kurt Johnson, and Steve, and Craig Wasner. And one of the reasons that I wanted to go with that group is they'd all played together. So we went the whole, hey, how are you? What's your style? What do you know? This kind of stuff. And I knew it would be faster, and I knew they were all great players.
Yeah.
I didn't know Steve produced, but I can tell you that I'm incredibly happy that we went that route.
Awesome. So how do you choose what songs?
Well, we kind of had the idea that since we were on the road, traveling full time, and this was our life now, that we really should be picking some and writing some or songs about traveling on the road. So why not, right?
Yeah.
And Dave had a few of those already. And then I had one that I wanted to write as well, because I felt like I had something to say about it too, since I was part of it.
Great. I'm so glad you did. And we'll talk more about the song that you wrote later, Jacqueline. I want to find out about your experience of writing a song for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
first time.
Okay, right. So we'll get to that. I'm wondering then, so you decide on the songs. You have these 5 songs you're going to record. You have the studio you're going to use, Wasner Audio, and the musicians you're going to use, the producer you're going to use. So then what? How do you get from having a demo of a song or of an idea of a song in your head to having a full band play the song on a CD?
Sure. I had originally, we kind of went through a list of songs that we would want to do. In fact, Folk Star Singer was a last second ad when I played it for Jacqueline. She said, I like that song, and we added it at the last second.
I'm so glad you did. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And then I just recorded them onto my phone. And so I sent those off to Steve. I had never worked with a producer before, so it was a really nice feeling. I know some musicians don't like to lose the control. I was more than happy to send him those songs and say, what do you want to do? And he listened, and we went back and forth, and then it just grew from there. Jacqueline?
Well, and I was going to say that the funny thing was that we knew Craig Wasner, and it was really nice because we live in our 5th wheel. So he agreed to let us stay on the property.
Oh, that's great.
So there's another reason, right?
Right. What convenience.
Yeah.
All right.
So you recorded the songs on your phone with the guitar, just guitar and voice, right?
Yes.
The songs on your CD are full productions with full bands. And who decided? How do you decide what kind of instrumentation you're going to have on each song?
That's actually a really good question. In addition to what kind of instruments you have in your song, how many instruments can you have on your song and lose the transferability to being a duo, acoustic duo?
Right.
One thing I did notice is we're big Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers fans from Arizona. And I noticed on his albums, he rarely has anything on there that he can't play on stage. So when you hear him live, you're hearing his album. He doesn't have a full orchestra in there and a full choir behind him. That was a question and a thing I wrestled with on this is, do we go full band and it'll transfer in the sense of the melodies will still be there, the harmonies will still be there, all that will be there. And I reached out to Kevin Bowe in Minneapolis first before I made any contact down in Northfield. He said, don't worry about it. Just go with it. Just go with it. It'll work. So that gave me confidence.
Well, I mean, every day people take famous songs and make it their own. If they happen to be a duo with one guitar, they'll just do it that way. And so that works. Yeah.
Right. And we knew that if it happened, like say we were going to play Jesse James Days again, hint, hint, we'd love to play Jesse James Days again. We could put that band together. There are enough musicians. In fact, that exact group, we could say, let's go in and play we got hired for a bigger show and we can always do that.
Absolutely. We hope you do that in Northfield on Jesse James Days. That would be awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So you made the decision to go ahead and do a full band for these songs. I'm sure it's a collaboration, but how do you go about making the decision of what kind of instruments, and not only instruments, but what kind of sounds? Because you can have a keyboard and you could have the keyboard play all sorts of different sounds.
You know, I was kind of standing in there as somewhat of a bystander for all of that. And it was pretty incredible to me to see that collaboration. You know, Dave had a vision on some of the songs or some of the parts where he heard certain instruments or he heard, you know, things crescendoing or something like that. And then Steve would come in and give his opinion, and then Craig. And at one point we had, I think even Mike and Kurt were in there, and everybody was singing, but they were singing instrumental parts.
Right.
And it was pretty funny. And I took a little video of it because it was really, really cool just to have them all collaborating and doing that together and sharing what their vision was. And I think Dave obviously had the final say, or we had the final say in what we liked. But like Dave said earlier, we really kind of gave a lot of that up to Steve
and Craig.
Craig. Yeah.
I said, you have to trust these guys. You just have to trust them. If you hear something, you better say it, because you'll have to listen to this for the rest of your life.
Right.
But a lot of faith, a lot of trust.
And that is so key in all of music, really. And particularly when you hand control over somebody else to your babies. I mean, really, these songs are kind of like your babies, right? And it worked really, really well, it seems to me, as far as the end product. I'm wondering about the parts. So now you've decided, and this is all kind of mixed up. It kind of happens at the same time, I'm sure, the discussions about it, but you have the decisions on which instruments to use on the CD. Did you then did you go back to the RV and write all the parts for everybody? How does that work?
I had ideas for parts. I don't read music. I don't write music as far as notes and theory. So that was left up to Steve and Craig and those guys. There was a time when Steve said, I need another verse.
Oh, yeah.
We need another verse in this song, which is so funny because he would say something and I had thought that. Like maybe not sitting right there, but I had thought that when I wrote the song. And so I went back to the RV and wrote, and then brought it back to him on chicken scratch paper. And he said, okay. The amazing part for me is that the vision of where it's going. And I don't know how much vision is there or how much of it is sort of like when I edit video for our channel, I'm just sort of making it up as I go. And all of a sudden you latch onto something. You're like, yes, that's where it's going. And I don't know at what point that latching on took place. I don't think anybody can road map the song exactly from start and go, this is what it is.
Right.
And like Mike came back in and redid some bass parts because the song changed.
There's also the process then after you get done with making the music, then you have to mix it. Well, first it has to be edited. So if there's any wrong notes, or you don't want to have to come back to the studio and do the whole thing over again for a wrong note, or if there's a rhythm thing off, and this is for everybody, not just you guys, it happens all the time, then somebody comes, the editor comes and edits it like you do with your RV show and I do with this, so that everything is exactly where it needs to be. And then to get it to the way it needs to sound, you send it to somebody that mixes it, and they put EQ in the effects, reverb. And you sent it to Casey Wasner to do that, correct?
Correct.
So that was the next step.
Yeah, Casey's in just outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
When we say sent it down, that's where it went. And it's such a different thing now, because even dealing with the CD manufacturer, we have see these people. It used to be, I went over to Noiseland and worked with Andrew Volna and said, here's our master. And there was actually looking at art. And now it's all on the internet. It's just crazy. I don't even know what these people look like, and but the CD keeps moving, There's something great about that, but there's also feels like there's something lost there too, a little bit with that. And so when Casey would mix it, what happens then? How does that process go? Back and forth. Steve would send us roughs, and we kind of, yes, we like it, yes, no, we don't. And there were a couple sticking points for me. I'm not an auto-tune guy. I hate auto-tune. I will never like auto-tune.
You do.
I would rather sing a little bit off pitch and be real than auto-tune. So I said, I don't want the auto-tune in there. And Steve agreed. He's like, yep, I get it. And so we pulled some of that stuff back out. And then I sang completely off pitch for the rest of the album. And I was very happy with that. I'm suffering for my art along with everybody else.
Oh, that's funny. Let's turn to Folk Star Singer. That's the first song I want to talk about. And I think it's fascinating. Like we talked about, you had sent the musicians a version of the song with just guitar and voice. And then they added their take on it with their instruments to get to the final cut on the CD. And so I thought it would be really fun to take a little glimpse into the magic here and play your demo first.
Oh boy.
And then when we kind of did talk about what was added, but maybe more specifically for the song, you could talk about what was added, and then we'll play the cut from the CD. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
This is Dave Hudson from the Border Hookups playing the demo version of the song that he sent to everybody that's involved with the CD. Here it is.
This one's called Folk Star Singer, capo 3, G position. Lights so bright I can barely see what's around the corner right in front of me. Midnight travel never felt so good. Windows down, staring at the hood. Yeah, suitcase packed, traveling fairly light. Guitars rest up for just one night. My energy sloshing round in a cab, just keeping company with the satellite man. Town to town, up and down, y'all. The sexy life of a folk star singer, gaining ground. Well, now it could be dark, sleeping all the way. Just lifting her head, just to eat and pray. Feeling the lights glowing with the glow. It gives me comfort on the open road. town, up and down, y'all. Sexy life of a folk star singer, gaining ground.
This is Pauline Jennings, and you're listening to Musician Talk. You just heard a portion of the demo for the tune Folk Star Singer by Dave Hudson. Keep on listening to hear the entire song as recorded in studio by the Border Hookups, this time with a full band. All right, so that was the demo, and now we're going to turn to the final version that's on the CD. And so just walk me through what was added to this song, if you could.
Well, my harmonies were added. I had heard Dave do that song once before, maybe twice. And then, of course, I heard the demo. And so what I did was I just listened to that demo myself and just kind of practiced doing some of the harmonies so that I could add a little bit of flair to the song.
Yeah.
So I got
a little more than a little bit of flair.
Yeah, a lot of flair.
A lot of flair.
In fact, that one is my favorite song off of the CD.
I love this song, and I would be interested also, after we talk about what instruments were added, where the idea for this song came from.
There's electric guitar, bass drums, B3 organ, and then the acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitars stand out on this one more than the other ones because it intros with the acoustic guitar. And acoustics tend to get lost pretty fast in the mix. So It's kind of fun to hear it front and center on this one.
It is. And the B3 Hammond, that's a sound that Kurt used on his keyboard. And how did you decide to use that sound instead of a piano sound? Because it's a very, very distinctive sound. I love B3. I love it.
Dave loves B3.
Yeah.
He always talks about it.
As you know, a B3 the original B3 is a spinning speaker. So it gives that warble sound. And it's a very classic sound. Piano is a lot brighter and more tinkly, and B3 is kind of that haunting, road trip sound. So that's what I really liked about it. And that's why I wanted it on there.
So Folk Star Singer, what's this? It's about a folk star singer. And how did you?
It's sort of a joke.
Okay.
Because it's the tongue in cheek. It's the sexy life of a folk star singer. And there's nothing sexy about a folk star singer. And I wrote it when I was driving from Waconia, Minnesota. Well, I didn't write it while I was driving, but I came up with the idea driving from Waconia to Cross Lake to do shows. And I would drive through the middle of the night a lot instead of dealing with traffic. I would just Red Bull it through the night. And I like being out there by myself with my dog. My dog was next to me, my groupie dog.
Nice.
And the whole idea is, a deadbeat night beats a cubicle day. And just being so thankful that I wasn't in an office. I didn't have to be anywhere in the morning. I didn't play until 9 o'clock the next night. And I was just free. And so that last line is what ties it all together. A deadbeat night beats a cubicle day.
That is a great line.
Thank you.
Wow. That's really great. And I want to do a shout out to all those folk star singers out there. You are sexy.
I am not sexy.
I'm just saying. Awesome. Let's take a listen to the final cut that made it onto the CD. What's the name of the CD? I guess I should ask that.
It's self-titled.
The Border Hookups.
Yeah.
Border Hookups. The Border Hookups on their CD called The Border Hookups. And this is Folk Star Singer.
Lights so bright I can barely see what's around the corner right in front of me. Midnight travel's never felt so good. Windows down, staring at the hood. Suitcase packed, I'm traveling barely light. Guitars rest just one night. Energy sloshing round in a can. Keeping company with the satellite.
think this is my favorite song, although I have to say it's hard to pick one. They are, I would say, all have great hooks and get stuck in my head. And I was singing along to them. And I think I told you guys that I was singing along to them soon after the first time I heard them. That's how catchy they are. So well done there. I want to get as much as we can here in this show from your CD. So let's move on to the song that you wrote, Jacqueline, that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. Tell me about your process and how you went about writing this song. What it's about.
When Dave wanted to record an album or a CD or a project, as we call it, I said, I'd really like to have a voice on this. I'd like to have one song, just that I sing lead on, and that's kind of mine. So, and he was awesome. He said, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So one day we were actually at the Grand Canyon and we were boondocking. So we weren't staying in an RV park. We were just basically on free land, not far from one of the lookout points. And we were sitting outside just in a beautiful setting. And he had, a little ditty kind of going on the guitar. And I just started to sing. And and then I worked on that song and I wrote all of the lyrics for it. And then we collaborated, worked together to kind of, make it a little more
butcher it.
Yeah, a little more polished. And there were some lines where, he would say something like, well, why is this in here? What does this mean? But they were very important to me. So the song is basically about our life and how we decided that we did not have to be retirees to go out on the road. We did not have to be 65 plus to sell everything that we owned and move into a fifth wheel. So when we told my parents that we were going to do this, my dad, I told him that I didn't want to experience winter anymore because I'm from northern Manitoba, way up there. So I've had enough winter, to last me a lifetime. And his response was, his response was, well, Jacqueline, that's the fact of life. It's a fact of life. And so there's a line in there that says you have to follow the road, the path everyone's on, and that it's a fact of life. So paying homage to my dad, I'm not sure if he'll like that or not. And then there's a line in there that, we had a little bit of trouble with, and it's the playing the game of life. And I say, I don't want to play that way. And I say, I don't want to roll the dice to chance snake eyes in my sight. And Dave was like, what is that? Sure. What does that mean? And so I had to explain to him when my grandparents retired, they waited until they were over 65 and they worked very hard their whole lives. They were custodians. And when they retired, my grandmother developed ALS.
Oh,
so she passed away. And so that was to me really important,
Absolutely. And that kind of maybe informed your decision a little bit here with your life now, is that why wait? And why do we have to play by these rules? I love that you guys just said no. Yeah,
absolutely. So that song is very, very meaningful to me. So
well, that's beautiful. And that's a great setup. Let's take a listen to Long Time Coming, written by Jacqueline Hudson of the Border Hookups.
They say follow the path every other person's on. When it comes to living blind, society can't be wrong. No, you haven't put the time in yet to change your life. Gotta wait until you're tired and can barely see the light. Pack it in and hope you've got cash and the time. Oh, you gotta carry the burden, face the facts of life. You can't cheat the clock and turn day into night. It'll be a long
Jacqueline, that's a beautiful song. And this is another one that just runs through my head all the time. I wake up with it in my head. And so it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Thanks, Paul.
You are so welcome. Another song on the CD is called See You Sometime Too. And I love the story behind this one. This is one of the ones I don't really know the story, but I know what it's about. And so I wanted to share this with the audience because it's very sweet. And so go ahead, Dave. You wrote this song.
I wrote it for Jacqueline.
Yeah.
And
that's sweet.
we weren't dating yet, but we were friends. And I wanted to date. And so I figured the only thing I have in my arsenal is songwriting. So I wrote her this song about it may not happen now, but it may happen in the future, and just be okay with that, and be comfortable with that. And so the whole see you sometime, we would say, she said, see you sometime soon. And I said, I'll see you sometime too. And it kind of popped in my head of, well, that's different, you know? So I wrote the song and I played it for her. And she cried. Yeah. So
It was all over after that.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, perfect. I love that.
This next version just brought it to complete fruition. I mean, we're so happy with it. And so it's a song about just take what you can take. When the time is right, it'll happen. And if it's right, it will happen.
Well, now I think that everybody's very interested in hearing this song called See You Sometime Too. And here it is.
I can't talk to you, can't stand next to you. My words and images tell my tale. You said I'll see you sometime, maybe someday, maybe it's the best that I can do. Then I turned and looked into your eyes one last time to make it true. And I whispered to myself, see you sometime too. What started out as a next to nothing soon turned into a more than something. And in a glance, what stood for one thing traded places and never looked back. You said I'll never forget, regret all the times I spent along with you. And I said with just my smile, see you sometime too. Please look on for my signs. Please read between my lines and finally know that what I say is true. See you sometime too. Like a perfect ending hides itself among the bending branches of a lost, forbidden youth. Oh, I will keep your glasses empty, set aside in case you might return to visit where you left your sometime too.
So you just heard Dave Hudson's original song called See You Sometime Too, about wanting to date his now wife, Jacqueline. And this is on their self-titled CD that they just completed. And so I want to know where people can buy these songs, buy the whole CD. Are you making a physical CD? And then are they on streaming services, those kind of things? Where can we hear these again?
We're working that out right now. They'll be out next week. Hopefully we'll get them back. We are making, as you said, a physical CD. We wanted something that people could, if they want it signed or if they want the art. I think people still like the art. We'll be on all the streaming channels eventually.
Mhm.
And then we're working with Kurt Larson in Northfield for all our merch.
We do have, our YouTube channel, the Border Hookups Go RVing. So a lot of it will be driven through that as well. So we have a package out right now, which is a t-shirt and our CD and can koozie and a decal, as I call it, or decal. But it's on theborderhookups.com right now.
Oh, that's easy. Usually at the end of the show, I have a section called Best Gig, Worst Gig, which we've already played with you guys when you were on here to talk about your musical journey. And now I want to just know, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's the worst thing and the best thing about recording?
The worst thing was it was so difficult for me because I had never done it before. Usually when I'm playing, there are people and you're playing to them and you can see their expressions and they're dancing and they're smiling. And so I'm really having fun when I'm playing. And so to go into a studio where you're standing in one spot, you're the only person in the room, there are 2 microphones in your face and it's the first time you've ever done this and people are listening to every single note that you're singing. It was very intimidating. It really is. In fact, I redid my lead vocals because the first time I did them, I just couldn't relax.
Yeah.
I couldn't relax at all. So I talked to Dave about it, and that's one of those times where he said, well, this is going to be forever. You have to be proud of what you did. So let's just redo it. And I didn't want to because I didn't want to bother anyone.
Sure.
That was I just didn't want to have to go in and redo it. But I am so happy that he encouraged me to do that. And, Steve was very open to the idea. Yes, go ahead, do it, redo it. Let's see what you got.
The thing with live is that you sing a wrong note, it's gone. It's there and it's gone. Right. And nobody knows really. No, 90 whatever percent of the audience doesn't even know you did it. You may know, but it's gone. You're on to the next note and you're singing great. But boy, when you're in a studio, everything has to be spot on. If you're not going to auto tune, it has to be spot on. And that's a lot of pressure. It is. So I'm very glad that you took the opportunity to redo them so that you could feel more comfortable while you were singing them and be very happy with it. And you sound terrific. So
thank you. Thank you. Feel much better. Thank you. And the best thing for me was being a newbie again was actually part of the best thing because I got to see what everybody was doing and listen in. And like I said, I kind of felt like a bystander for part of it, but wow, was it cool.
Yeah.
Just the talent that goes on in those rooms. Well, you too, but it was pretty incredible. It was a great experience, one that not everybody gets to have.
How about you, Dave? Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the best part is just watching the process, the evolution of the song go and being able to listen to it and getting ideas. And the worst part is probably going over vocal parts and over them. And I remember sitting in the studio with Steve till, I don't know, midnight and just going over these harmony parts. And I could kind of hear them. And it feels like the more you work on them, you lose that inspiration and energy, and then it starts to become a job,
Yeah.
and you just have to keep pushing. And because you're not gonna call somebody up and say, come in and do it.
Right.
You're it. So.
Oh, we're just so happy with everything and the way it all turned out and how great everybody was to work with. And yeah, we're
Awesome.
really happy.
Well, that's a great place to leave it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I want to know, when are you going to be back in town so we can see you live?
It'll be August. I think we have a show at the Cow.
And that's on our website as well, theborderhookups.com.
Yeah.
So we have a schedule posted there.
Okay, so we'll go to that schedule in August and check it out to see when you're going to be playing in town so we can see you live. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Take care and safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Dave and Jacqueline Hudson of the Border Hookups for sharing their CD creation journey with us today. What a joy to hear their tunes hot off the press. And so very many thanks to you for listening to Musician Talk on the One, KYMN. Have a terrific day.